good evening everyone. A whole year of waiting. Literally, I announced the event on the server on September 13 last year, and we finally got the event with MyGO. But was it worth it? Come on, sit back and relax, and I will tell you everything now. My first attempt at high tiering was back in the spring of 2023 with Pario event, and surprisingly everything went well and top 3 was achieved. So I decided that I could definitely continue, but next time I literally gave up, and it was in September 2023 with event and project Sekai, when I was fighting for first, second or third place, and because of the gap on first day, I gave up like the last loser. After such a failure, I was, to put it mildly, disappointed in tiering and thought about leaving it forever. Because that situation caused me a big trauma, because of which I had hysterics for a month, and to this day after the end I cannot come to terms with it, and I had the place I got. But still, knowing myself, who am I to just give up from such a disgrace? Therefore, my new goal was to definitely get top 1 in events, or at least do everything possible for this, and not give up so easily. Speaking about the path to my goal, I was pretty scared because I saw a post from a player who wanted to fight just like me, and unlike me, he had much more experience, friends and fillers. But no matter how scared I was, I still continued to prepare because of anime MyGO title, my runners, and that still unresolved physiological trauma. It all started completely suddenly on September 16, because that was the day the event was announced, and on the 17th it has already started. It wasn't the best time, but oh well. September 17 started a little unconventionally, because on that day, in addition to the event, a collaboration with Genshin Impact and Bird Pizza was released. Well, I decided to order it. There wouldn't be time anymore anyway. My verdict: this is the worst pizza in the world. I literally had peppers, onions, beef and mushrooms. These are all the components of that round masterpiece. The blue liquid is pretty good, by the way. Okay, we're getting off topic. The event was supposed to start at 11 AM my time, but something went wrong and it was first moved to 12 PM, then to 12:30 PM, but thankfully there were no more moves. And now, attention, my nerves are about to be tested. After downloading 2 GB of game files, I log into the game. Of course, I start playing the new gacha. I get a slap on the wrist and have to spend 200 spins plus 100 stickers to get the soul card. But who would have thought that I would realize that I didn't get a single free star MyGO card, and I will get a Tamori from the ticket, which I don't really need, like Ran and Taki. As it turns out, there was a bug in the game, and the developers forgot to make a rate up for free star cards. Well, I, a dumb head, for some reason spent another 21,000 crystals on Gacha. Of course, without getting a single free star. Well, and gave up. Also, forgetting about the free star ticket in the store where you could get one selected card. After upgrading the cards we reserved, my teammate and I started playing. And I forgot to say that at the very beginning we had a small incident with fillers, but it passed relatively quickly. After about one set, which is about 33 games, the news came out that the developers finally noticed the error and put a fix on the gacha, but did not close the game itself, which is a little strange. But oh well. Sometime later, the gacha was finally returned and the runner and I had to pull it again. I spent around 2,000. Well, you already understand that this is crazy if you add the previous ones. During this period, there was also an announcement that the game spent at the beginning of the event will be returned. But nobody said when this will happen. I think listening to this whole story, you can imagine what happening to my mental state and what a horror it was. At that moment, I was already imagining that I was transferred to some seventh place and the dream is lost. But at a certain point in time, one player threw down a table where my co-runner and I at the first and second place. In fact, I was shocked then and didn't believe in this first, but that's exactly how it was. Due to this, my motivation became higher and I continued to play further, even up to 14-8 hours. Yeah. It was a mistake that I found out about only after some time. Having slept for about 4 or 5 hours after that, with the plane too. By the way, yes, there were already results. I was of course disappointed by myself, but oh well, I think it's not that scary and I continued to play. As luck will have it, at the very moment when I want to make a video, thoughts disappear from my head and I forget what happened during these periods of time. In short, on the third day I had a 20-hour game, then on the first day 15 hours, then on the 5th day about 20 hours, on the 6th day about 15 hours, and on the last 2 days I didn't have that many hours, mainly to finish the record for points in the game. As for sleep, well, how I can tell you, everything was just horrible on many days. 4 hours, 3 hours, on the 5th day I literally had a nervous breakdown or something like that, namely 8 hours of sleep. While I couldn't hear a single alarm, even considering that the sound was on max volume and there was about 50 alarms in total. A disgusting feeling, but it happens. If we talk about the game periods, about the most interesting, then everything was very interesting. For example, at the very beginning of the event, the first 2 days, everything was quite calm. Not counting the beginning with the gacha, it was quite fun to sit in chats and watch what was happening. Although not without difficulties, but the 3rd day something suddenly began to change in me. As soon as I woke up that day and started playing, I started having a terrible hysteria. I just sat there in tears without knowing why. I couldn't tell anyone about it simply because I know that there will be questions like what happened, and I don't know what. I myself don't understand. Day 4-5 went relatively normally, but as soon as I fell asleep at the end of the 5th day, so I was knocked out for 7 or 8 hours instead of 2-3. Yes, of course, I had something similar 2 times on my top 3 run. But still, the situation was more complicated here, and these 8 hours were quite important, but lucky that everything worked out, and after such a mishap I managed to play for about 18 more hours. Well, after these 18 hours, my parking period began, and I could sleep as much as I wanted and play wherever I wanted, without thinking that I could be thrown off. Since the top 2 had already finished the game, and the top 3 did not plan to go higher than 70 million, oh yeah, on the 5th day our small team united with 3rd and 4th place, so I know all this. But that's not the end of the story. Because maybe I'm not the most emotional person, at least in messages. But it's ironic that my favorite character from sekai is the same. But I found out about a week before MyGO started, and I can't keep it to myself anymore. And the thing is, can you imagine it's like when your old friend, whom you've known for years, suddenly find himself on the verge of life and death, and you can't help him because you're in another country. Yeah, it might sound weird, but that's exactly it. I just hope he doesn't suddenly watch this video, but even if he does, I won't say his name, gender, and something else. Anyway, it turns out he has some kind of brain tumor, which he says is pretty hard to remove. I don't know the details of what kind of disease is it. He didn't tell me, but I like to believe it's not related to something terrible or cancer, but looking at how desperately he refuses to reveal details, I find it hard to believe that there is really something harmless there. What is even more offensive is that his relatives do not react to this, as if it will heal itself out through. Unfortunately, it can be only operated on, and who knows what kind of doctors there will be, and how well everything will go. And what is even worse is that I will not even know about it, because he lives in another country where I cannot go. Okay, let's not talk about sad things, but move on to something more cheerful, namely the conclusion. What I want to say, even taking into account the fact that this event was quite buggy, but we all coped, and I want to say thanks to my Corona Lovely and also to Celeste and Free, who came not so long time ago. This battle was not easy, but everything went well, although at some points I was even afraid of Lovely, but that's a completely different story. I didn't do any parking in the game just because I was tired and too lazy to figure it out. Yes, but I said it. As for the future of the server and mine in general, I'm happy to announce that the server is going into standby mode for the first Abimujika event, which I will probably tier top 2 or top 1, and this will definitely be my last podium event in this game. But that's not all, because in the summer of 2025 I'm planning my largest and most difficult tiering event, namely Mafu 5 in Project Sekai. Yeah, the whole story with the physiological trauma began with this game. It's time to end it and prove to myself 100% what I'm worth. And here I finish my journey with my first MyGO event and my first, and hopefully not the only, first place.